Sounds like a bong.
It does sound like a bong.
And here we are at How to Ski It.
Episode 17. I say it every week, and I'll say it again. I didn't think we were going to get past 3.
Yeah, same. I agree.
But 17. And you know what? We had a really nice comment on one of our social channels, and I don't remember which one it was because I look at it in like we've said this before, we're a digital company, and I look at it in this social aggregator. We use this product called Hootsuite, and it shows me everything that happened on social. And somebody was like, I love the podcast. And we have people that get back to all.
We've got people for that.
But it made me feel really good because after the last podcast, I like it too. I listened to the last podcast driving up skiing, and it made me feel good.
Yeah.
So whoever that was, thank you. We'll try to do better. That because we're a digital company, we practice with like automating things and social aggregator software. And it does make it somewhat impersonal, and we try not to do that. But when I say we have people for that, it's Dylan's wife.
And she's doing a great job.
Kate is her name. So anyway,
Yep, getting back to all those comments. It was funny. We did get backed up on comments and had to go through. I sat down with her for like 15 minutes and she was like, all right, what do you want to respond to this? Like, tell them we love the glasses. Stop talking.
because we're bad at our job, and we just talked about we use a piece of software to manage it's not just our social, it's our customer social and stuff like that, and our actual company social, which isn't How to Ski It, it's BCC Live. Anyway, we didn't have YouTube plugged in properly, so people were just talking to us on YouTube, and nobody was responding.
Hitting crickets.
So, and then we also found out that you're supposed to respond to all your Google reviews, which as a company we hadn't done for years. So we had to get back to like years worth of Google reviews. So people left a review 2 years ago that said, good job. And then 2 years later, we're like, thank you.
Appreciate it.
We weren't just Instagram stalking you.
So
I wore my How to Ski It hat at the last event I was at, and multiple people were like, dude, podcast is funny, content's funny, keep it going. Like,
Nice.
it was cool. You know, Jeff Delaney and EOB and a couple other people were just like, love what you guys are doing. So that makes you feel good that, you know, at least our friends are paying attention.
Yeah. Shout out to those people for listening. Thanks.
For sure.
yeah, and at least our friends are paying attention. I don't think my family listens, mom, dad, my sister, Susan. If you do, shout me out and let me know that you listen.
Yes.
And then I was trying I don't think Keats listens, like one of our big clients who I skied with last Wednesday, and he's a phenomenal skier, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I don't think he listens either. So if they do, you got to tell us that you're listening, or don't, and make us think you don't listen. We'll
That
talk
would be
smack,
funny. Yeah.
and you'll pretend like you don't know it.
Yeah. That would be the long con, is just wait until we say something.
Yeah, and just assume that they're not listening. Because I have thrown a little bit of shade at my parents for being ski snobs,
Yep.
and they didn't say anything. And I feel like they would have said something.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know that they know we have a podcast. I'm a white label person. I don't go around saying, look what I can do, except for this podcast.
Yeah.
But in return for that, I don't run around saying, listen to my podcast.
Right.
So, but now listen to my podcast.
Share it with your friends. That's the best way for this to grow.
My parents don't listen. I don't come from a podcast family. We don't.
I bet
More FM radio.
if my parents listen to podcasts, they listen even though they don't ski.
I think my parents have listened to a couple of episodes because
You've been on a
Parents.
couple.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we're going to find out
All right,
if
so
you are directly
shoot me
related
down.
to Ryan, Marcus, Dylan, myself, or even Melinda, who just chose not to be on today.
Yeah. She's
what's she
in the
doing?
other room.
She's got nothing going on.
She's doing bookkeeping. Like it's funny, as ski season starts to draw to a close,
We
work
ramp
gets
up.
really busy.
Yeah.
So I can't. And Ryan's been on the road, like he hasn't skied in
2 weeks.
A year and a half.
no way has it only been 2 weeks. So let's talk about skiing, because it is a skiing podcast. So last week, I just said a second ago, I went up to Copper Mountain before the storm of the century is what
Yeah.
some people were saying came in. I went up to Copper Mountain. It was dust on crust. Overall, it wasn't much better snow than Crested Butte, except it was cold and snowy. But I skied with a friend and coworker, Keats, and his son, Clark, which, man, Clark, I'm sorry, I'm going to say that you're 12. And both great skiers. And it was kind of weird because Keats is, he's one of our clients. He's a VP kind of guy. And I said, how many days have you got in? And he said 80.
P guy. He's a P guy now.
80 though.
80?
80.
That's incredible.
He lives in Bend.
80.
80.
It's such a big number. I would love to be able to say I got 80 in, but I'm like, oh man, if I could get over 25, I would have skied so much this year.
I think my lifelong record might be 24. And that was a big year.
Yeah.
I've done 80 when I was in college, but I got a 2.0 from Western State.
Priorities.
Yeah.
Priorities. But I was super impressed by that. Anyway, I take my skiing seriously, so I went up and I just wanted to make sure that I kept the pressure on. And I was able to keep the pressure on Keats. That he was like, do we have to just ski free runs all day?
Drain Pipe Far East.
That's exactly the kind of stuff. We actually skied like free fall glade and then went over to 17 glade. And if you don't know where, it's either 17 trees or 17 glade. It's on the map. Probably the best snow, or, typically the best snow on the mountain because it's so down in the woods facing north. But anyway, here's where I'm going with this. Keats' son, Clark, took me to the woodshed because when you're 4 feet tall and you weigh 90 pounds, you can just get through any opening in the trees with style. And I'll say this kid, wouldn't be surprised to see him be a world-class, competitive skier. I told his dad, I was like, Keats, don't listen to this. Clark, you can make a living with skiing. You just have to start now. And that's what I wish I would have done in college, is just said, I want to have a career in skiing, whether that's in sales or marketing or whatever, or maybe competitive, who knows. But I kind of believed you can't do that. And I think the proof is there that you absolutely can do that. And tens of, not hundreds of thousands of people do. And I wish I had, because I love skiing so much. I wish I could just be part of it every day. So, but I said, you can do this. And his dad's like, I don't care. I agree. You can do that. So who knows, but he's a fantastic skier. Copper Mountain was great. We went to the Aria. We don't know how to pronounce it.
Airy.
That's
what I'm going with.
At the Midway. And we went upstairs to the restaurant part. And we were seated at a table and had a fantastic, honestly, the service was beyond. It seemed like we were at a fancy restaurant. Do you mind if I tell you about the specials?
Nice.
And stuff like that. And then we went back out and skied Upper Enchanted Forest and went over and skied Union Peak. And so great day at Copper Mountain. Copper Mountain, one of my favorite places. Free parking. The shuttle I'm not in love with because I used to park over at the A-lift. But I love Copper Mountain. It's just a good mountain. It's well run. And I can't say enough nice stuff about Copper Mountain.
That's one of the few that I've hit since I started with you guys. And I think Copper is my favorite.
It's easy for it to be a favorite ski area for people because it has advanced skiing. It has intermediate skiing. It has a gondola. It has everything like a Vail or an Aspen has, but much more. It kind of flies under the wire a little bit, even though it is a world-class ski resort. It isn't one that people mention when they're talking about the best ski areas in the country, although it is. So I love Copper. Yeah. So then we wanted to potentially ski.
Real quick, if you follow our socials, you may have already seen this video, but we actually did do an après video about the Airy, and we did it more focused on not the restaurant above, but we have some video and stuff of that restaurant above. So check that out on all our socials.
And the restaurant above is great. Not cheap.
Didn't you guys have mixed reviews about?
When we went, we ate at the cafeteria downstairs.
Right.
And the very best looking burger I've ever seen with no flavor.
Ooh.
Like, it was weird.
Yeah.
And nowhere to sit.
Yep.
And then we went upstairs, and I guess we probably should have started up there.
Yeah.
And there's a bar, and
The bar was awesome.
And we didn't sit at the bar this time because we were with a 12-year-old,
right?
Which is not appropriate. But they seated us right next to the window overlooking the ski area.
Nice.
Cool.
And it started snowing really hard. And we thought about staying up another day. And me and Mel were like, let's get out of here because of the storm of the century. So we came home Wednesday night and woke up Thursday and hadn't really started snowing.
Yep. Yeah.
And then between Thursday afternoon and Saturday morning at my house in Sugarloaf, which is at 7,500 feet, right above Boulder, we got 50 inches, 5-0. Eldora got 50 inches, 5-0, but did not open.
Yeah.
Because of the 5-0 inches of, and it's just dangerous. And it was heavy.
Yep.
But it was definitely one of the biggest snowstorms I've ever seen, which was super cool, but I didn't get to ski it.
Yeah.
And
it was a bit of a bummer.
Yeah. And then the early reports of the people that did get to ski the 50 inches that it was like oatmeal-ish heavy snow.
Eldora even posted, so they mainly post to Threads is one of their primary like update spots now. I mean, I know they post to the other socials, but I find them on Threads. And they posted an update on Friday, halfway through the day, they opened like 1:30, and they were like, very little is open. It's oatmeal. The next day they posted and they were like, look, we got a lot of snow. It's super wet and heavy. I recommend sticking to groomed runs or you're not going to have a lot of fun today. It was like, I was like, yes, I'm going Saturday. I'm going to go ski. And I saw that in the morning and I was like, I'm out.
And so we went up there. So anyway, the storm of the century, but none of us made it over the weekend. Ryan was out of town for work. I ended up going to Portland for the weekend. And then yesterday we went up to Eldora. So 3 days after the storm, essentially. And sure enough, the snow that had not been packed out was nearly unskiable.
Yeah.
And I was on some like 98 underfoot. I wish I'd taken my Deb Armstrong skis because I would have stayed off in the trees all day. But it was one of the most unique ski days.
It was.
It was 50 degrees.
54, I think, is what my car said when I got back.
It was, I've never,
Wild.
I was just wearing like a sweater and I was grossly overdressed.
I wish I was in my t-shirt.
Yeah.
Only.
I overdressed because I put a jacket on. I rolled the sleeves up and unzipped the whole day and still overdressed.
In 50 years of skiing, it was the warmest I can remember. Maybe when I was a kid, I skied warmer, but it was the warmest I could remember. And it was exhausting.
It was.
Because it was so warm.
It was like skiing on a snow cone.
It was like skiing on a snow cone. But the skiing was fantastic. We did our traditional let's go ski Brian Glades. And I don't know why. Maybe I just being out of town, but it was so fast.
Dude, I don't know what it was in the trees. I could not ski the trees that day. Every single tree run I went was so fast that I was like, I'm out.
So fast.
I just felt so relieved that I bailed because I wasn't feeling it and I was out of control. And I look uphill and there's Marcus and he's like, I couldn't handle it. And I look down and there's Dave and it was like, I got to get out of there. It's too fast. And I was like, thank God I'm not the only one.
Dude, same.
That is like my favorite run that has it beats me early season occasionally. And I got a third of the way down and was like, nope.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to ski into a tree. Actually, I crashed right off the bat. And I had an experience yesterday. It happened 3 times that I really hardly ever remember. And I'm just going to make this term up because it's probably the best way to describe it. But my ski like harpooned a mogul.
Yeah.
And so I'm skiing the moguls like I always do. And one ski just submarines right inside the mogul.
Torpedo.
Well, you're not skiing out of that.
Yeah.
And I don't know, 50 meters into the first run, I face planted. And if the snow wasn't so soft, I probably would have injured my face.
Yeah.
But it was really soft. And then that happened 3 times. All 3 times I fell, but only once did I go face first.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're just skiing along and even though the snow was packed, it was still crazy soft.
Yeah, it was.
You know what caught me by surprise a number of times was planting my pole and then like one out of every 50 turns, your pole would just
Zoop.
just go like
All the way in. Yeah.
2
full on
feet into the
harpoon.
snow, and you're just like, whoa. And there's no rhyme or reason. It's just the middle of a bump run, and just like any other bump that you've been planting in.
Yeah.
Weird.
It was weird. It was, like you said, very unique conditions.
Very unique, but awesome. Like,
Awesome.
what
I had
a day.
ton of fun.
So we got kicked out onto Wolf Tongue,
Yeah.
and that's not a run I ski. I'm going to tell you that's one of my least favorite runs at Eldora because it's usually like groomed ice. But since the last time I've skied at Eldora, they let the moguls grow, and all of a sudden it was just an A+ bump run, like as good as Highline at Vale.
Yeah.
Ex-
Incredible.
Incredible.
I mean, it's steep enough, right? So as long as they don't groom it, it's a great run. But they just usually groom it, and anything groomed at Eldora is going to turn into ice.
So we did 5. I mean, this is how good it was. We did 5 Wolf Tongue runs
Yeah.
just in a row.
Unheard of.
Unheard of.
Yeah.
But it was great.
It was awesome.
The bumps were good. The bump
were.
skiing was good, and it was warm.
And the like that consistency of snow, the like snow cone skiing all the way down Wolf Tongue, the whole way, every bump you hit, it was just, you had plenty to grip into, and it was lovely.
The corn.
Corn?
Yeah, I don't know why they call
Like
it
corn snow. It was a little bit like that. It was, it was,
Like spring snow.
I don't even love the snow cone explanation because that's like crushed up ice balls. And it was still like legitimate snow, but it was like buttery snow.
I'm talking like Hawaiian ice.
Okay.
Like shaved
Like
ice.
shaved ice.
That was
That's
the
what I
front
meant
side,
by
for sure.
snow cone.
Yeah,
snow
what
cone,
was I going to
shaved
say
ice.
that they
Sorry.
call that stuff? Like Hawaiian ice or daiquiri ice or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
But it-
sorbet.
Icy ice.
Yes.
It's like an icy.
Yeah.
But what a great day we had at Eldora yesterday. And one of the things you just said, which is also unusual any time of year, is the snow at the very top of the mountain facing north was the same consistency as the snow at the bottom of the mountain facing south, which nowhere I ski is it more dramatically different than Eldora.
Yeah.
But because of the 50-degree weather, it was all good yesterday.
Yeah. It was wild.
But
And all the trees were exactly the same. Every tree run you got in, exact same kind of
Except for the
snow.
front side trees, though, because remember, it's like you'd be going through the shade of the trees, and it's like loud crunch, crunch, and then a part where the sun's been poking through for 10 minutes, you just like sunk in like it was water.
yeah,
Oh,
It's
yeah,
just like
you're right.
it's just like pond skipping from from slush to ice to slush to ice.
so the storm of the century, I think, boded well for skiing. But
In the high alpine, I mean, I landed Sunday and I was like, where's all the snow? I'm like, Denver airport only got like 4 or 5 inches.
Yeah, they got hardly any. It was weird.
Hardly any. And then obviously as you go up in elevation, it's more and more, even here in Boulder compared to Westminster where I'm at.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I was expecting to come home to like a winter wonderland, and most of that stuff had already melted off.
Yeah.
It's gone.
I'm ready for it to be gone down here in town. I'm not ready for ski season to be over. But I was in Portland over the weekend and it was 75 degrees and I'm ready to wear shorts.
It was 75 in DC over the weekend. It was pretty nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're walking around t-shirt and shorts, and
That's unusual.
I know usually
lucky.
it's like 40 and raining, and
Yeah.
it was beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
So cool storm. I hear there's more snow in the forecast. I'm not done skiing this year. Although yesterday I stopped for a moment waiting on you guys and I had a moment of reflection. Like this might be it. This might be the last day of the, cause it was 50 degrees.
Right.
Yeah,
50 degrees is a weird time to ski for sure.
And I thought like this could be the last day of the year, but it probably isn't. And I hope it isn't. And I really doubt it is because they had the best base I've ever seen. And all they need is just a little bit of fresh snow on top of what probably was a really rough morning this morning.
And it's supposed to snow again this weekend, right?
Another storm. They're not like forecasting like another storm of the century, but it's setting up with like a similar pattern, which is upslope,
Okay.
which is not great news for everybody in Summit County and Eagle County and stuff like that, but is good news for us front rangers with Eldora. And like Ryan was just saying, everywhere got different snow. Eldora got hit, Winter Park got hit, A Basin got somewhat hit, but not everybody got like big dumps.
no, everything kind of west of Winter Park slowly didn't get 50 inches. They might have gotten 8 to 10, which is a huge.
Good.
No,
Yeah,
great. I'm not complaining, but it's a huge difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
A huge difference. I wonder what Eldora is going to be like after it turns back into freezing temperatures.
We should give a shout out to the Eldora staff and crew for getting all that stuff cleared out. It looked brutal.
Speaking of which, I followed their ski patrol, and they had posted like a sweet little sizzle of like, hey, this was the last 3 days. Thanks for being patient. But like, we were actually doing 12-hour days. It was them bombing and hiking. Like, we did some skiing, but like, not they're shoveling out the lifts. And I can only imagine how much
Mad
effort.
respect.
Mad respect. How much effort they put into to let
Oh man,
it's Eldora Ski Patrol Union on Instagram, and they post some awesome stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, kudos to them. And then when I was driving home from Eldora last night, and I took a picture, and Marcus, maybe I can get you to share it on our social.
Yeah.
People had skied Sugarloaf Mountain.
Oh, really?
And I mean, it's skiable once every like 10 years, maybe 15 years. And people had skied it. It looks like they struggled.
Yeah.
Because the tracks aren't super fluid, but there was maybe 10 ski tracks from the top. And what's amazing about how much snow there is they went down the south side, which is, I don't know that it's ever been skiable on the south side. That yes, the north side, which is trees and steep, there's somebody wrote a blog on it once. I'm sure you can Google it up, but I don't ever remember seeing ski tracks down the south side, and there's maybe 7 or 8.
That's crazy.
Nice.
A lot of snow.
Yeah.
A lot of snow. And I heard there was some issues with I-70 again.
Oh, shocker.
The fact that it was closed
So it was closed for, I think, like 24 hours.
from Golden to Silverthorne.
Really bad. And then I'm going to call out some bad behavior.
All right.
And the first bad behavior I'll call out is on Berthoud Pass. And they had it closed for snow removal. And a car came from the Mary Jane exit and blew through the roadblock and led a high-speed chase when the road was closed, only to be stopped by a snowplow.
Wow.
That pinched him off and stopped him. And there's a picture in the paper and on the news of a snowplow with a car trapped between it and the snowbank. But that's bad behavior. Like, thanks.
When was this?
Just this past weekend, or
I hadn't heard of that, but
during the megastorm.
Wow.
And then it was pretty well documented in the high country on I-70 that cars and semis were breaking through the closure and going up and getting stopped and having to be rescued after breaking through the closure.
Cool.
And the state patrol said that added to their time to reopen. So big thanks to the state patrol, I'm being honest now, for working on that, but not a big thanks to the people that thought that their journey was more important than everybody else's. And then lastly, so it was well documented. Like I said, you can go to our local news in Denver that I do as well. There's 9 News and 7 News and Channel 4 News, and they all have websites, but they only wrote, I believe, 11 tickets for non-chained up vehicles, when they said at one point there was over 45, like all stuck on the pass at the same time. Cool. So why there wasn't 45 tickets?
Yeah.
But that's a big part of the problem. And we've trashed our civic leaders on the show before for not making improvements, but what is a 10-lane highway going to do? Not that I'm suggesting we should have a 10-lane highway, but what's a 10-lane highway going to do when people aren't going to chain up or ignore, they're called traction laws we have in Colorado, and most states have these that get snow at least, that it says traction laws in effect, and that means you have to have snow tires, studs, or chains, or you don't get to go.
Well, and there's even more
four-wheel drive
with snow tires, or a certain level of snow tire or chains, or the
with
snow sock
with appropriate amount of tread.
Yes, correct. Yes.
So I-70 was a disaster.
I would have just left them out there. Why rescue them? Just Darwinism. Just plow them in on the side of the road. I mean, what do you blew past the closure.
That's
in your Honda Civic. Like, just
The views expressed by Ryan do not represent the views of how to ski it.
I think it probably represents the majority of our viewers, but I don't think what you said is politically correct.
I would have at least made them sweat it out or freeze it out. Just a little, like give them an hour.
Wait till they're dehydrated.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if they got tickets.
They wrote 11 tickets over
that should be like an arrestable offense.
72 hours. I agree. Blowing through a closure should be an arrestable offense.
Now, what happens if an avalanche,
I think that
comes and kills them?
they die.
They're going to sue the state.
Right. If they live. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's where I get obviously you go get them, rescue them, and being facetious. But in all seriousness, what happens when, the Loveland Pass is closed and they're doing mitigation?
If
they
it's
blast
closed and somebody gets killed in an avalanche, they're not going to be able to get anything from the state. I can promise you that.
Probably not, but you never know.
They're going to try.
They might try.
You're probably
Regardless, a human lost his life because they were being
right
an idiot.
Right.
But I think the reason I brought this up is that I wanted to bring up the fact that we've trashed the civic leaders. We've been hard on CDOT and all this stuff. And everything that I understood from this past mega storm that didn't even really hit up there as it did down on the Front Range was just exacerbated by people being out on the roads with the vehicles that aren't equipped for the winter, people not stopping at road closures and getting stuck. And so that took resources that could be clearing the road, writing tickets, doing all this stuff to go rescue people that shouldn't have been in a position to get rescued, and then extended the road closures. And that's all mainstream media stuff, so you can go read about it yourself. But disappointing, we've maybe focused too much of the blame on the Department of Transportation, the Colorado Department of Transportation, and then our civic leadership, meaning the state and the House, for the last 45 years of not making any improvements for the future except a toll road that's rarely open.
Well, so there's obviously, especially in a snowstorm, there's always blame to be had by people who ignore the rules, ignore the blatant laws that are out there. But I think that I still don't want to give too much credit to the civic leaders who they could have, whenever it's not snowing, all these problems there's still all these problems on I-70, but I get what you're saying. 100% is
I do think you have a point that
smarter.
Yeah, the people aren't helping.
Yeah,
the dumb people aren't helping.
Right.
And it's just like when the dude won't let you merge and the zipper merge. You're like, well, we're all in this together.
Yeah, we could all do better.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not letting the civic leaders off the hook. It's been 45 years of ignoring.
I haven't been the problem for 45 years. I know that.
Yeah, but this weekend, I don't think it was, because it was midweek or as the end of the week, so it wasn't necessarily on a weekend. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't this glut of traffic that should have been addressed. It was a glut of dumb people.
Agreed.
It is nice. I don't know if you guys have noticed or been keeping track of, is that they are doing a pretty relatively big project to I-70 as we speak at Floyd Hill.
I don't go that way.
Oh yeah, you never touch it, huh? Because if you do go to Copper or something, you'll go up 6th Avenue.
Because I come from Boulder, that I either go up US 6 or I take peak to peak all the way through Central City, which I stopped doing because the chance of running into weather is so much greater. So when I went up Wednesday, it was lightly snowing at my house, so we went down through Boulder and then up US 6.
Yeah.
But anyway, Floyd Hill project.
Yeah, so 2 weeks ago, I went up skiing with my little kid and dad at Winter Park, and it was a Saturday, and we left Golden at 7 a.m., and I wish I was kidding. It took us an hour and a half to get to Floyd Hill.
Oh.
Wow.
To Floyd Hill.
I would have turned around.
It was 2 hours and 45 minutes to get to Mary Jane, which is normally an hour from driveway to parking lot.
Man.
So, we had Riley, and he was super excited. And so, of course, we just had to write it out. And, again, we've talked about this before, skiing with kids is free at Mary Jane. So we're just like, you know what? We'll get some runs in with Riley. So we stuck it out. And my dad is the one who's been kind of talking about the Floyd Hill project because he has a coworker that lives near there and it talks about it. But anyway, they are making some big improvements. And you could tell it's like, they didn't have any active construction or lane closures that were causing the bottleneck that day. inherently Floyd Hill is a major bottleneck going up I-70. And sure enough, once we passed once we got to Idaho Springs, it was normal free flowing traffic all the way to Winter Park. So I'm super glad that they are addressing it. And I'm just looking it up right now. They are adding like another westbound lane. Largely the big deal is that they are minimizing the gradient going downhill. So they're just like taking their time to probably all the way up to that little tunnel right before Idaho Springs to keep it just a more easy gradient down, adding another westbound lane again. I think it's going to make a big difference. They started this summer and they should be done, as they say, in 2028. So that probably means like 2030. We'll see.
I look forward to driving it in 2035.
Exactly.
Well, I think that they're onto something because Floyd Hill and then the merge at US 6 and
Exactly.
I-70 are the two giant.
That's the section they're
Working on because that steep downhill to the dog leg.
They got some cool renders where they're basically rerouting a big old suspended bridge, over the quarry, almost over the Clear Creek.
Oh,
so
cool.
Going wide, and it'll be interesting.
You still have to merge down back into 2 lanes, but we'll see if it breaks it up a little bit because that's where, like you said, once you're past that, it's usually 65 all the way, unless people are slow going up past Georgetown. But
yeah,
I saw the renders and it looks spectacular. It looks like a major engineering project.
Yeah,
which worries me. But after hearing this story about the Floyd Hill construction, I'll never go that way until 2028.
You're right.
So, ski industry's in good shape. People are still saying the sky is falling. There's been more and more. I think that article that we talked about last week really hit home with a lot of somebody released the story and then like secondary media pick it up and then podcasts and stuff like us pick it up. And so then it turned into a real talking point about the price going up on ski passes. And so I think that was like one of the hot topics last week that people were really, even though the story came out 2 weeks ago, that people were really like, oh, the sky's falling again. But man, after a day like yesterday at Eldora, there was nobody there.
Yep.
It was a weekday. We're lucky. We talked about, we used to ski on Fridays with a couple clients. And we're in the process of moving that to Mondays because nobody skis on Monday.
Yeah.
Friday's the new Saturday.
Friday's the new Saturday. So we're thinking about switching it to Mondays. But I made a bold claim, which I didn't end up following through with. But I said, I'm going to go on to the IKON Pass and I'm going to try to buy my pass with the 0 to 36% credit. And I got shut down, but it's not their fault. I have a credit lock on my credit. And I could have went and unlocked my credit and then I didn't do it. But Marcus, you did it.
I did.
And the conversation last week was and you have good credit.
I do.
And I have good credit. Is the 0% financing even real? Because a lot of places offer that. I've had good credit for a long time and they say 0% financing on a car. You go in and they go, oh, almost 7%. Yeah. And you're like, that isn't even close to 0, but you went and did it.
I did just for IKON. I didn't check the Epic.
But tell us what you found out about yourself.
What I found out about myself?
Well, yes, because not everybody's going to get the same offer.
So they do their thing through Affirm. I was like, did I find out I have good credit? I knew that. So they do their through Affirm, and if you have good credit, I got to say a shout out to the way Affirm showed the pricing is I had 0% financing for
hang on real quick because it's confusing. The name of the company
is Affirm.
Yeah. Because you say it sounds like, and so there's a firm.
Oh, I got you.
So the company's Affirm.
Affirm. Yep. All one word.
Like affirmative.
Like affirmative. So they have this, they have 3 options, 3-month, 6-month, or 12-month payment plans. But what's really nice is they show you what the payment's going to be and at the end of the term, how much interest you would pay. I got 0% financing for 3 months or 6 months. 12 months, it didn't show me the percentage, but I would have paid an extra $60 to do a 12-month term. Total. An extra $60 total over the term of the loan.
Yeah. And so I think one of the things we were asking is like, I kind of speculated the negative side of me that I have good credit. I'm going to go on there and they're going to be like almost 7%,
Yeah.
180 extra bucks or whatever. And instead you had 2 offers from a firm
Yep.
that were 0%, and 0% has very few downsides.
Yeah.
The only potential downside is any debt shows up on your credit as debt.
Yep.
So if you get the whole ski pass, you got $1,000 of debt on your credit, which isn't a lot and isn't something to worry about, but that's literally the only downside. 0%. You're just, it's like, this is like your best friend lending you money.
Yeah. Real.
When you lend your best friend money, you're not like, well, and now give me that extra $50 for the price of doing business. No, you just have them pay you back when they can. And except for the fact that it's 3 months or 6 months, it's a pretty good deal. I'm pretty impressed.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the same for everybody.
No, the 6 months ended up being about $200 a month was what it was. And then to do 12 months was $101 a month, which you end up paying. I would have ended up paying $60 extra for my pass over the entire term.
But the 6 months you weren't paying a dime over.
Extra. That's amazing.
That's a good deal. And you got to put this back. And I'm not trying to say that $200 a month is nothing.
Right.
But you got to put this back on the people that are saying skiing's just completely unaffordable. Like if you save up so you can manage $200 a month, you have crazy unlimited amounts of skiing globally.
$50 a week.
Well, and even if you think about like, if you want to go skiing next year, let's say you're like, I'm going to go skiing, but I'm going to cut back. I don't want to spend too much money. I'm going to go ski 4 times. If you go only special Thursdays at Copper, that's $400.
Yeah.
Like, but if you're going regular days, you're paying between $600 and $800, maybe even $1,000 to go skiing 4 times next year.
Yeah.
Depending on which mountain you choose. I mean, if you're paying $200 a month, that's like going skiing 1 time a month.
Yeah.
And you've got an unlimited pass.
And you could have been saving up the last couple months. So then the next 6 months you have the money. So there's things that can be done to fight this battle. I know we're not talking about equipment. We're not talking about the gas to get you up there, but it's not as dire. It's not as awful as it sounds. Me and Ryan kind of financed our Epic passes last year where you just sign an agreement that they can have $350 out of your account from your debit card for 3 months. We've talked about this. So essentially like 0% financing. And then they got all their money before the ski season started or before it really got rolling. So they didn't have any skin. They were going to keep whatever. And if we didn't pay, they weren't going to let us on the mountain.
Yeah.
So that was another affordable way. You know who's their own worst enemy in this conversation?
Skiers.
The ski areas.
Oh.
Because they have these day ticket prices that are so outrageous that $269 at Breckenridge or somewhere. I'm sorry that I don't have all of them, but they're over $200.
Yep.
And that's what the world sees. That's what the media writes about. That's what people think, like Keith skied 80 days times 269. He spent $80,000 on skiing or whatever. And it's not really like that. Yeah, I'm sure there's some people that come up and buy day tickets and stuff like that, but there's a lot, if you want to get into skiing, that you can do now to save money next year. And we're not even talking about, we've talked about it, the Gems Pass, we've talked about the Indy Pass and all these other things. There's all these things you can do. The one thing you can't do is wake up in December and say, I want to be a skier.
Yeah. True.
Because it's going to cost $10,000 to ski that season, and it's not realistic for anybody.
Yep.
But if you today say, I want to ski in next year, start saving up. The passes are on sale. The price goes up, but only like 20%, 30%. It doesn't go way up.
Yeah.
The passes are for sale all the way into like the beginning of December. And so the payment plan kind of goes out the window at that point, I assume.
I would assume. I know their offer, the IKON Pass offer for potential 0% APR ends April 18th.
So soon.
Yeah. We got 1 month basically.
Did you pull the trigger?
I have not yet. I got to talk to my wife and make sure.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that's one thing that's made, you guys successful is you take finances and money seriously. It's not, you don't have to be rich or poor to take financing and money seriously. Yes, I'm not trying to say skiing isn't a cheap sport. It's not, but people go take a photo of the ticket window and say, this is skiing today. And they go take a picture of a fully integrated pair of skis where it's the skis and the bindings built together for $1,400 and the boots with the, the $700, $800 boots. Well, when you look at it like that, it is expensive, but there's things you can do.
Maybe that's what our next social post should be, is each of us try and go find how cheap we could get onto the hill for.
Ooh.
Like we all are given an IKON Pass that we finance, right? So it's $200 a month. But then we got to go out,
buy new gear.
We got to buy new gear.
And who can get on it cheapest?
But also like effectively.
Yeah.
Like
then we got to go ski. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, actually buy it. Yeah. That'd be sick. I was saying like theoretically, like go online and find some good deals on Facebook. And, I know Flylo's doing a closeout deal. They do it every year down in Denver and everything's like 40, 50% off. And there's ways to do it. And we talked about the bargain deals and Powder 7.
Sneagrab.
It's bargain spelled backward.
I couldn't think my
Backward
words.
bargains.
If you start now, so our friend JJ, and he listens,
Yep.
he said, will you help me find a pair of skis? He bought boots, in case you guys were wondering.
Nice.
And I said, yeah, we're right about that season where it's going to start being that time to buy skis. And then he immediately started sending me stuff on Facebook or on eBay. And he said, what do you think about these? And they look great. And the person says, great condition. But I said, hey, look at the tips, how many chips are out of the tips. And that's a really easy way to tell how many times a ski has been used, that just inherently the tips touch and it chips away at them. And you can clean up the bottom and make it so it's hard to tell that they have not been taken care of, but you can't clean up the tips.
P-Tex is cheap.
P-Tex for the bottom is cheap. But I love your idea of finding cheap stuff. But anyway, full circle on JJ, I was like that scene from Trading Places where they're waiting for the orange juice futures to go down. And I was like, wait. And we're right about that season.
Go.
When spring break skiing ends, the traffic to the ski areas and the ski shops drops off dramatically.
Yep.
And that's when they go, oh my gosh, we have all these skis, boots, poles, bindings, gloves, all this stuff, and there's nobody in here.
Yeah.
That's when you want to do it. So wait.
Patience.
It's close. I have a bunch of family who teaches in Texas, and they last week was their spring break.
April is the time, the beginning of April is the time to buy skis.
The month of April.
The month of April.
Yeah, beginning in particular, but the month of April is the time to do it.
And then also check with your mountain. I know Eldora doesn't do this anymore, but my very first ski pass at Eldora, I bought it. They went on sale like April 1st, and it was good for the last couple weeks of the season. Yeah. And I imagine there's still some ski resorts.
I actually just double checked this. IKON does that.
What?
Yeah. If you,
Since
I'm
when?
going to look up the date ranges, but if you buy an IKON Pass for the 24-25 season, it is usable after some date.
Okay,
This
find that
spring.
date.
I will.
So
That's huge.
huge because it was before I started skiing Eldora. Even though I grew up in Boulder, I didn't ski Eldora. And I finally decided I wanted to ski Eldora. Mm-hmm. And I looked at passes for next year. And this is like almost 20 years ago. And it said, hey, buy a pass today and it's good for the rest of the year. I got in the car and drove up there with my skis, boots, and poles.
That's awesome.
Bought a pass and fell in love.
Nice.
Here we go. It's called the Buy Now, Ride Now perk. Drop in on good times and sweet spring scenes with immediate spring access at up to 9 destinations and a total of up to 16 mountains by April 8th.
All right.
Cool.
Is Eldora on there?
It includes...
I hope not.
Wait, it said 9 locations, 16 destinations?
Okay, so there's different dates where they release new locations, and Eldora, our normal ones are not on this list. You can going from the bottom, you can access Tremblant, Steamboat, Deer Valley. Oh, here's Winter Park on April 1st. No Eldora, so Winter Park would be the big one for us, I think.
I'm okay with that.
My pass works to the end of the year. So.
I'm super happy that they're doing that. Like that to me
is awesome.
is the ultimate hook. And if you're listening to our podcast and you're on the fence, that should be all it takes, because Winter Park is open for a solid 2 to 3 weeks after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, beginning of almost May.
And Winter Park is awesome.
And you could, and they have a good base, so they're
Worth it.
going to have good snow.
Yeah.
And you're going to be able to get, in my opinion, $500 of skiing in on your pass before next season.
Easy.
I did also want to go back and redact something I said a couple weeks ago. I remember I was like, man, I wish there was a renewal discount. There 100% is.
I told you
talked
that.
about
I know
this.
you guys said, yeah, but I didn't believe you, and now I do.
You didn't believe me.
we were looking at the computer.
I literally told you if you have the base pass, you get $50 off. If you have the full pass, you get $100 off.
It was presented a bit more like, I'm pretty sure.
They could do better. The renewal, at least when I went to check out,
It took a while before it added.
it doesn't add it until you're like getting ready to put your credit card in.
You're like,
Yeah.
And I was like, aren't I supposed to be? This seems like a lot this year. So I have not bought my IKON Pass yet.
I haven't yet.
I was going to do the financing, but I have to unlock my credit, which is a lot of work, but has prevented anybody from hacking me. So
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that. I got free credit locking after one of the people I do business with got hacked, and they had to buy it for all their customers. So,
Well, cool.
ski season goes on. Ryan, what do you think, bud?
You done? It seems like you're done.
Are you and Izzy going to Keystone this weekend?
Probably.
You should. I'd like to get back to
Did you
Keystone
hear
one
that?
time.
He's not going.
He might. I mean, I'm going to throw Ryan under the bus on the podcast. I asked you guys, well, Dylan, you asked me, do you want to ski Monday afternoon? And I said yes. And then Marcus is like, I always have my ski stuff in the car. So I was like, well, I'll be honest. I figured you were going to say no anyway. Sorry, we've only been skiing together a couple years.
Fair enough.
And you guys were like, yes, yes. So then I texted Ryan at like 10 a.m., 10:54, because I went and looked. And then well, here's why I looked. When we were having a beer at the Timbers, which their beer could be colder.
Yeah.
And
their Cokes could be not flat, according to Mel.
but they're very friendly and I like them and it's a great spot at Eldora.
Perfect spot.
I said, yeah, Ryan didn't even respond. And Mel was like, well, when did you even reach out to him? So I went and looked and I was like 10:54. So we didn't go up till 1. So maybe Friday.
Yeah, I'd go.
Yeah, Friday there should be some fresh snow and it's not going to take a lot and it's not going to get cold. So the snow's not going to get really firm again. It's going to get loud and crispy, but it's not going to get really firm again until it gets cold. And that first burst of cold, it did not freeze last night, is going to be mixed in with fresh snow. So we might be in business.
So I have a thought. What if we all take Friday off? Because I got to go to Georgetown and shoot some photos and go to A Basin.
How long is your photo shoot going to take? Yeah, I was thinking that.
I'm thinking like an hour.
I forgot you had a photo shoot and I wasn't going to suggest skiing because
I was just going to do it on the down low.
I like the idea. We go to A Basin, Marcus meets us at lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah. Worst case
you're already up
scenario,
there.
it would be
I've
lunch.
actually never been to A Basin.
We got to go do poly because I did Polyface once and it was awesome. And that was when I wasn't as good as I am now. And I desperately want to go back.
You're a way better skier now.
I hear the head walls firing.
Oh, yeah.
Keats and Clark went to A Basin and I don't know where they skied, but they had like a ho-hum attitude about it.
Interesting.
So I was a little disappointed.
Are they snop skiers?
No, but I don't know where they skied
Yeah.
because A Basin is not ho-hum. It's one of the best advanced ski areas anywhere. It's like on par with Crested Butte and Jackson Hole and stuff like that. If you know where to go. Like most people don't go ski the alleys.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, if you want to know where to go at A Basin, there's a run called Standard, and you ski everything from Standard west past the Poly Lift all the way till you get to Gautier. And there's like 16 named runs there, and they're all double diamond, and they're all like 40 degrees.
Nice.
Yeah, and so we can talk about this on the next show. There's it's kind of like a ski race, but it's called the Enduro, and they have to ski X amount of those runs, and then they can only ski those runs. So they have to, let's say, ski all of them twice or something, and then they can ski any of those runs they want, and they try to do the most that they can. And people ski like 70
Wow.
runs, and they're like 1,000 vertical feet of double diamond.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
So one of our ski buddies, Nick,
Nowhere
Yeah, I
did it
thought
once.
he had
Yeah.
done that.
got
I
the
remember
most
that.
runs
Yeah.
one year. So, which is impressive
Yeah.
because I never thought he was that good of a skier.
It's fine. He doesn't listen to the podcast.
I don't. I,
Yeah, no, he definitely doesn't listen to the podcast.
But I think he's a great skier. But so that was just.
Well, he was until he moved to Vermont. But
Yeah. Now he skis a bunch of backcountry BS.
Yeah. So our merch store is open at howtoskiit.com.
ski.
And somebody, we talked about this last episode, bought something, but not since.
I think it was Tom.
Tom and his beanie.
Tom bought a beanie. So he posted that in our social channel.
I'm going to buy something from the merch store tonight, and I'll give you guys my personal review
Sweet.
on how it worked out.
I love it.
And then you want to do your social
Yeah.
spiel?
Yeah, be sure to follow us at How to Ski It on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and YouTube. We also have a Reddit that you can follow if you want. HowToSkiIt.com has our forum as well as our merch store, which is shop.howtoskiit.com. For Ryan, Dave, and Dylan, I'm Marcus.
Wait, I just thought of something. No, I'm just kidding.
Dude, I'm going to Goodwill and getting a pair of like 210s.
Yeah,
That's going to be my cheap ski.
Research
Challenge is on.
Dynamics, Coyotes.
Dina Star.
That's a ski.